Don't get comfortable. Comfort is where ambition goes to die. Listen carefully. This isn't motivation. It's a warning, and it's not meant to make you feel good. It's meant to wake you up. Somewhere in your life, you've been waiting for confidence, waiting for clarity, waiting for the perfect moment. But time doesn't wait, and life doesn't negotiate. No excuses, only results. The world does not reward potential, intention, or effort. It rewards outcomes. Everyone carries pressure. Everyone faces fear. Everyone has a reason to slow down or quit. Excuses sound reasonable and feel safe. They protect the ego and justify staying comfortable. But comfort is expensive. It quietly costs you growth, momentum, and self-respect. Results are built differently. They are built in silence. Early mornings, disciplined repetition, showing up when motivation is gone and no one is watching. No one is coming to save you. There is no perfect timing waiting ahead. Confidence is not found. It is earned through action. Pain is part of progress. Discomfort is the entry fee. The scoreboard of life doesn't record how hard it felt or how busy you were. It records what you produced. Excuses ask for understanding. Results command respect. If you want a different life, you need higher standards. Stop negotiating with weakness. Decide who you are becoming and prove it with consistent action. When the noise fades and the stories disappear, only results remain. Excuses are comfortable. Results are earned. We live in a world that celebrates comfort. A world that tempts us to justify why we can't, why we shouldn't, why the moment isn't right. Every day, excuses whisper in our ears. You'll start tomorrow. It's too hard. You're not ready yet. Excuses are comfortable. They are warm, familiar, and seductive. They allow us to remain in our safe zone, free from discomfort, free from accountability. Yet comfort is the enemy of growth. History is filled with examples of those who refused the temporary ease of excuses and embraced the painful, unglamorous path to results. As Aristotle once said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The habit of making excuses may feel safe, but it ensures a life of mediocrity. The habit of earning results requires courage, discipline, and persistence. Excuses promise you peace today, but they steal your future. They are seductive illusions that convince you that stagnation is acceptable. Philosophers like Seneca reminded us centuries ago, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Excuses ensure you never prepare. Excuses make you wait for a perfect moment that never comes. Meanwhile, the world rewards action, persistence, and resilience. Results are not given. They are earned through sweat, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit. Every achievement, every success story, carries the weight of discipline over desire. Consider the athletes who wake before dawn, the entrepreneurs who fail multiple times before succeeding, the artists who refine their craft in solitude, while others choose comfort. None of them were seduced by excuses. None of them accepted good enough. They understood a simple truth. Comfort is temporary. Results are permanent. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, taught, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In modern terms, this is a call to stop rationalizing and start acting. Excuses give you a story, a reason to justify your inaction. But results give you reality. Results demand that you show up, even when you don't feel like it. They demand that you act, even when fear or doubt creeps in. Every successful individual, whether in business, sports, or art, faces resistance. Excuses are the easy path. Results are the battle-hardened path. Yet it is only through battle that the warrior emerges. The discomfort you avoid today is the exact discomfort that forges greatness tomorrow. Let's consider another truth. Humans are wired for comfort. It is natural to seek the easy route. But as Friedrich Nietzsche said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Excuses kill potential. They dim ambition. They lull the mind into passivity. On the other hand, facing challenges head-on builds resilience, confidence, and competence. Results are never accidental. They are deliberate. Every step, Every decision, every sacrifice compounds into measurable success. The person who repeatedly chooses action over excuse creates momentum. Momentum turns effort into mastery. Mastery turns effort into influence. Influence turns results into legacy. The comfort of excuses often disguises fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But consider the words of Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Excuses are a stop sign disguised as a detour. They convince us that delay is harmless. But delay erodes ambition. Delay allows the world to pass by while we remain frozen in inaction. Results are earned by those who move, who persist, who take responsibility for their lives. Success does not knock politely at your door. It must be chased, wrestled with, and fought for. Let's talk about discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. Excuses are the destroyers of discipline. They whisper, "You deserve rest. Tomorrow is fine. It's too late now." But discipline demands immediate action. It thrives in resistance, in commitment, in choosing the long-term reward over the short-term comfort. Jim Rohn once said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." Every result you admire, whether a thriving business, a fit body, or a skill perfected over years, exists because someone chose discipline over excuses every single day. They didn't wait for motivation to strike. They didn't rationalize why it was too hard. They showed up every time. And failure? Failure is often the most honest measure of excuses versus action. Those who make excuses avoid failure temporarily, but ultimately fail in the long run. Those who act, who risk, who push beyond fear, learn that failure is a teacher, not a jailer. Thomas Edison, after countless failed attempts at inventing the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His results were earned not by comfort, but by relentless persistence. Every failure was an investment in eventual success. Excuses, by contrast, guarantee zero progress. The truth is brutal but liberating. Comfort and excuses will never give you the life you dream of. Results demand sacrifice, focus, and endurance. Eckhart Tolle once reflected on presence and action. Whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you are withholding from yourself. Excuses are the internal withholding, the surrender of your own potential. Results are the external manifestation of your internal commitment. When you act despite fear, fatigue, and doubt, you align your inner world with your outer reality. That is how greatness is built. Even today, countless individuals choose comfort over courage. They rationalize, justify, and postpone their dreams. They confuse busy work with progress and distraction with purpose. Yet the law of life is simple. Action produces results. Inaction produces excuses. The moment you choose action over rationalization, you reclaim your power. You acknowledge that results are earned, not given. You embrace responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances, people, or luck. You stop hiding behind temporary ease. You decide instead that discomfort is the path to growth. Struggle is the path to strength, and persistence is the path to achievement. And let's not forget the ripple effect of results. Excuses trap you in isolation, stagnation, and self-doubt. Results inspire others, create opportunities, and elevate not only yourself but everyone around you. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. The trail is forged through action, not excuses." Every result you earn becomes a testimony, a beacon for those who struggle with the same fears and rationalizations. In choosing action, you transform discomfort into legacy. So, what does it truly mean that excuses are comfortable, results are earned? It means that every time you rationalize, you trade potential for ease. Every time you act despite fear or doubt, you invest in growth, mastery, and fulfillment. It means that life does not reward good intentions, nice plans, or promises. You are only rewarded for what you actually do. Comfort is temporary. Results are eternal. Excuses are easy. Results are earned. And those who choose results Day after day, action after action, eventually discover the profound truth. The struggle was not punishment, it was preparation. And the achievement is not luck, it is earned. Wake up, stop rationalizing. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect condition. Comfort will always be there. Excuses will always whisper. But so will opportunity. And opportunity favors the bold, the disciplined, the relentless. Earn your results. Do not settle for comfort. Do not accept excuses. Show the world what action can achieve when fear and hesitation are set aside. Every step you take toward action is a step away from excuses. And every result you earn is proof that you are capable of more than you ever allowed yourself to believe. Today, embrace discomfort, act decisively, and earn your results, because in the end, excuses are comfortable, but results are forever. Your situation is not unique. It is easy to feel that your struggles, challenges, and setbacks are unique. You wake up in the morning, weighed down by circumstances, convinced that no one could possibly understand your situation. Life feels unfair, your burdens feel heavier than anyone else's, and you start rationalizing why success seems out of reach. But here's the truth, a truth that can transform your mindset and your life. Your situation is not unique. The obstacles you face, the doubts you wrestle with, the hardships you endure. Millions of people before you and around you have faced the same, and many have risen above them to achieve extraordinary results. History, philosophy, and modern success all tell the same story. Hardship is universal, but response is personal. Consider the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What does this mean for you? It means that while your challenges may feel uniquely heavy, they are not insurmountable. They are the raw material of growth. Every individual who has ever achieved greatness has faced doubts, fear, failure, and circumstances that could have easily justified giving up. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey endured poverty, abuse, and countless rejections before building an empire. J.K. Rowling faced repeated rejection letters, homelessness, and despair before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. The thread that connects them all is simple. Your circumstances do not define your potential. Your response does. Excuses thrive on the illusion of uniqueness. They whisper, "No one has it as hard as I do. My situation is special. I couldn't possibly succeed under these conditions." These thoughts are comforting, but they are lies. Nietzsche reminds us, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Every setback, every hardship, every moment of doubt is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The truth is, millions have faced circumstances far more challenging than yours and still carved their path to success. What sets them apart is not luck, privilege, or divine intervention. It is their decision to act despite adversity, to refuse excuses, and to commit to results. Your struggle is shared by countless others. Consider the countless entrepreneurs, athletes, scholars, and creators who started with little to no resources. They faced debt, rejection, lack of support, and personal crises. Yet they succeeded. Why? Because they understood a critical principle. Focus on what you can control, act relentlessly, and refuse to be defined by circumstance. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your situation may feel unique, but your ability to respond to it is universal. Every human has the same potential to act, endure, and transform. The danger of believing your situation is unique is that it creates a mental prison. You start to rationalize, to delay, to wait for perfect conditions that will never come. Comfort and stagnation become your companions. But the reality is simple. Results are earned in spite of circumstances, not because of them. The world does not wait for perfect timing, ideal conditions, or a life without obstacles. It rewards those who rise, adapt, and take action. As Friedrich Nietzsche emphasized, He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Find your why, and the how of your circumstances loses its power over you. Let's take a closer look at the universality of struggle. Poverty, failure, heartbreak, rejection, these are not unique to you. They are human experiences, shared across cultures and eras. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered leaders in history, faced multiple election defeats, financial ruin, and personal loss before becoming president. Helen Keller, deaf and blind, overcame extreme adversity to become an influential author and activist. What they teach us is clear. While your challenges are real, they are not a unique excuse to stop. They are opportunities to rise, to prove resilience, and to create results. Excuses thrive in isolation. They convince you that no one else has faced your exact problem, that the world is unfair specifically to you, and that success is meant only for others. But philosophy, history, and psychology all show us the opposite. Humans have the capacity to endure, adapt, and thrive under far greater adversity than most people imagine. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of a concentration camp, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Your situation is not unique, but your response can be, you may not control the circumstances, but you control your actions, your mindset, and your dedication. That is the battlefield on which results are won." Understanding that your situation is not unique also cultivates humility and perspective. It allows you to learn from others, to model success, and to see possibilities where fear and doubt once ruled. Every mentor, every biography, every story of triumph teaches that success is possible, even in circumstances far worse than yours. Excuses are the absence of courage and discipline. Action is the result of recognition that life is hard for everyone, but greatness is achieved by those who refuse to accept excuses as reality. As Jim Rohn said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Discipline does not care about your circumstances. It cares about your commitment to act despite them. The universality of struggle also fosters empathy and resilience. When you realize your challenges are shared, you stop feeling isolated and you start seeing solutions. Instead of asking, why me? You begin to ask, how can I rise? Seneca, the Roman philosopher, emphasized this mindset. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. Excuses thrive in a mindset of uniqueness. Results thrive in a mindset of universality and responsibility. Your situation is not unique, but your determination can be. The power to take action, to persevere, and to achieve rests entirely within you. Circumstances are neutral. They are neither good nor bad. They are the canvas upon which you paint your results. Every setback, every obstacle, every rejection is raw material for growth. Action converts it into experience, resilience, and mastery. Napoleon Hill famously said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Your situation may feel overwhelming, but it is not an excuse. It is an opportunity. It is also important to recognize that waiting for perfect conditions is a trap. Many people believe that their struggles are unique to the point that they should delay, postpone, or avoid action. Yet history shows us that no one waits. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steve Jobs faced repeated failures and being ousted from the company he founded. Each of these iconic figures understood that their circumstances were not unique barriers. They were tests of persistence and vision. Results are not given to those who wait. They are earned by those who act regardless of circumstance. Believing that your situation is unique also blocks creativity and problem solving. When you think no one has faced your problem, you fail to seek guidance, mentorship, or inspiration. Yet countless solutions have been discovered, countless paths forged by others in far worse situations. The wisdom of past thinkers, the strategies of successful individuals, and the lessons of history are available to anyone who chooses to act. As Confucius said, it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Your situation may feel uniquely challenging, but persistence, learning, and consistent action can bridge any gap. Ultimately, the recognition that your situation is not unique is liberating. It strips away the seductive power of excuses and opens the door to possibility. Every hardship is shared, every challenge is surmountable, and every obstacle is an opportunity to rise. The world rewards action, not complaint. Results are earned not because circumstances are easy, but because action was relentless, deliberate, and courageous. In choosing to act despite fear, doubt, and hardship, you join the countless individuals throughout history who refuse to let their circumstances define them. So, the next time you feel isolated in your struggle, remember this. Your situation is not unique. Others have faced it, endured it, and risen above it. What makes the difference is your willingness to act, to persevere, and to refuse excuses. Life will always be challenging, but results are available to those who commit to action. Discipline and resilience. Stop believing that your hardships are special. Start believing that your potential to overcome them is universal. Your situation is not unique, but your results can be extraordinary. 3. No one is coming to save you. Life has a way of teaching the hardest lessons in the most subtle ways. It is easy to believe in moments of struggle that someone, an ally, a mentor, a friend, or even fate itself, will arrive to rescue you. We look for shortcuts, for external saviors, for circumstances to align perfectly before we act. But here is a truth both sobering and liberating. No one is coming to save you. Every great achievement, every moment of transformation, every story of success carries the same unspoken truth. Rescue is not given, it is claimed. Your life, your destiny, and your results depend entirely on you. The temptation to wait for someone to intervene is ancient. Humans are wired to seek assistance, to hope for external solutions. Yet, hope without action is complacency disguised as virtue. Aristotle once reminded us, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Waiting for a savior, a perfect moment, or ideal conditions only ensures stagnation. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Waiting for a savior, a perfect moment, or ideal conditions only ensures stagnation. Excellence is not delivered. It is earned through repeated effort, consistent discipline, and unwavering determination. Every time you delay action, you risk allowing life to pass by, letting opportunities slip through your fingers, while you cling to the comforting illusion that someone will save you. Consider the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. External circumstances will never bow to your desires. No one is responsible for your dreams but you. This is not a message of despair, it is empowerment. When you accept that no one is coming to save you, you reclaim agency. You stop blaming circumstances, society, or other people for your current situation. You recognize that the only thing standing between you and your goals is your willingness to act, to endure, and to persist. History is filled with examples of individuals who understood this principle. Thomas Edison was not rescued from his failures. He persisted through thousands of attempts before inventing the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey was not saved from poverty, abuse, or rejection. She fought, learned, and built her empire through sheer resilience. J.K. Rowling was not delivered from rejection and hardship. She wrote, persisted, and refused to accept defeat. These stories share a common thread. No one else will secure your success. If you wait for rescue, you will wait forever. Success, achievement, and mastery come to those who take responsibility for their own journey. This principle extends beyond historical examples. It is relevant to your daily life. Every day, you are faced with challenges, obstacles, and decisions. You may hope for guidance, support, or intervention, but relying on these hopes can be deadly. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl survived unimaginable circumstances not because anyone saved him, but because he refused to relinquish control over his attitude, his effort, and his choices. In every moment, the power to act lies within you. Waiting for someone else is surrender. Taking action is liberation. Excuses are the comforting lies that arise when we refuse this truth. I can't succeed because I don't have support. If only someone would help me. Or I'll start once someone guides me. These are traps, seductive in their simplicity. Comfort is easy, but results are hard-earned. Jim Rohn, the legendary motivational speaker, said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Discipline does not wait for external circumstances. Discipline does not rely on rescue. It thrives on action, consistency, and accountability. When you internalize that no one is coming to save you, you stop waiting and start building that bridge yourself. The world itself will not pause to accommodate your readiness. Conditions are rarely perfect. Opportunities are fleeting. Fear, doubt, and uncertainty are constant companions." Friedrich Nietzsche wisely observed, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your why becomes the fuel that propels you forward, even when external circumstances offer no help. Waiting for rescue only delays the inevitable confrontation with reality. Acting, regardless of fear or support, is the only way to earn results. Recognizing that no one is coming to save you also cultivates resilience. Life will present challenges, failure, loss, rejection, and disappointment. But these are not signals that the world is against you. They are reminders that survival, growth, and achievement require effort. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, transformed extreme adversity into remarkable achievement through perseverance and action. Abraham Lincoln, faced with financial ruin, multiple political defeats, and personal loss, did not wait for assistance. He acted, endured, and ultimately rose to the presidency. These stories teach a timeless lesson. Action is the antidote to helplessness, and results are earned, not inherited. Even in modern life, the principle holds true. Entrepreneurs navigate competitive markets. Athletes endure grueling training. Students face demanding challenges. And artists confront rejection, all without expecting rescue. The world does not guarantee fairness. It does not send saviors. Only those willing to act despite obstacles achieve results. Confucius captured this idea succinctly. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Your pace, your persistence, and your willingness to take responsibility define your success, not the arrival of external help. Waiting for someone to save you is a form of surrender. It is relinquishing your potential to external forces and hoping they will intervene. But the truth is, hope without action is powerless. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, emphasized personal responsibility. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. No one will react on your behalf. Your circumstances will not shift without your effort. Every step you take, every decision you make, every ounce of effort you invest is a declaration of independence from excuses and dependence. Your life is yours to shape, and the sooner you internalize this, the sooner you can achieve extraordinary results. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity. When you realize that waiting for rescue is futile, every failure becomes a lesson when you accept full responsibility for your actions. Every setback becomes a setup for growth. When you embrace the truth that no one is coming to save you, the only difference between those who achieve and those who fail is action. Consistent, deliberate, and courageous action taken despite fear, doubt, or lack of support. Even fear and doubt are not insurmountable barriers. They are tests of your willingness to act. Nietzsche said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." The absence of rescue forces you to cultivate strength, resilience, and independence. It forces you to look within, to rely on your own skills, determination, and willpower. Every moment you step forward despite fear is a victory. Every choice to act instead of waiting is a step toward mastery. Consider the long-term impact of internalizing this truth. When you stop waiting for someone to save you, you take ownership of your life. You become the architect of your destiny, the driver of your results, and the master of your circumstances. You no longer blame others, lament your situation, or delay action. You start moving. You start learning. You start building the habits, skills, and mindset required for success. And slowly, relentlessly, your results begin to compound. This mindset also transforms your perspective on failure. Failure is not a signal that rescue is needed. Failure is a teacher, a guide, and a motivator. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison did not wait for rescue. He experimented, iterated, and persisted. Every failure was an opportunity to act again with more insight. The same principle applies to your life. No one will step in to prevent failure, but every action you take equips you with the knowledge, resilience, and skill to ultimately succeed. Even small actions matter. No one is coming to save you, but the accumulation of deliberate, persistent action creates momentum. Momentum transforms effort into skill, skill into mastery, and mastery into results. As Jim Rohn said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. The small, consistent efforts you make, unassisted and unsupervised, compound into extraordinary results. Waiting for rescue only ensures that momentum never begins. Ultimately, the truth that no one is coming to save you is empowering. It liberates you from reliance, excuses, and passivity. It challenges you to act, to persist, and to take responsibility. It reminds you that your life, your results, and your legacy are in your hands. Every great thinker, philosopher, and achiever, from Epictetus to Nietzsche, from Marcus Aurelius to Viktor Frankl, reinforces the same principle. Your destiny is earned, not given. No one will save you. The power is yours. So today, stop waiting. Stop hoping for rescue. Stop rationalizing inaction and postponing your potential. Take ownership of your life. Face your fears. Embrace your responsibilities and act relentlessly. Every step you take toward action is a declaration of independence from excuses. Every choice to move forward, despite uncertainty, is a step toward results. Remember, no one is coming to save you. And that is the greatest freedom you could ever have, because the life you want, the success you seek, and the results you desire are yours to claim. For motivation is temporary, discipline is permanent. Motivation is one of the most misunderstood forces in human development. People wait for it. They chase it. They depend on it. They scroll endlessly looking for it. A speech, a video, a quote. Something to spark that emotional fire. And when it comes, it feels powerful. You feel unstoppable. You feel energized. You feel ready to conquer the world. But then something happens. The emotion fades. The fire cools. Life intervenes. And suddenly motivation disappears. This is the harsh truth most people avoid. Motivation is temporary. It was never designed to carry you through the long road of achievement. What separates winners from quitters, builders from dreamers, achievers from talkers, is not motivation. It is discipline. Discipline is permanent. Discipline shows up when motivation is gone. Discipline works in silence, in boredom, in pain, in routine. Discipline does not care how you feel. Discipline cares about results. Aristotle understood this centuries ago when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Motivation creates moments. Discipline creates habits. And habits create outcomes. Every meaningful achievement in human history, every invention, every empire, every masterpiece, every transformation was built not on excitement but on repetition. The athlete who trains when no one is watching. The writer who writes when inspiration is absent. The entrepreneur who works when fear is loud. These people are not special. They are disciplined. They do not rely on how they feel. They rely on what they have committed to do. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation is loud. Discipline is quiet. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like it today?" Discipline asks, "What must be done, regardless?" This distinction changes everything. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Discipline is the practical application of that idea. It is the ability to command yourself, to act without negotiation, to move forward even when your emotions resist. The disciplined person does not wait for perfect conditions. They create progress under imperfect ones. Modern society glorifies motivation because it is easy to sell. It feels good. It creates instant emotion. But motivation does not last. It fades under pressure. It collapses under fatigue. It disappears when things get hard. Discipline, on the other hand, grows stronger under pressure. It is forged through discomfort, built through repetition, strengthened through resistance. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Discipline is what turns your why into daily action. Without discipline, your purpose remains a thought. With discipline, it becomes reality. Think about every area of life where people fail consistently: fitness, finances, learning, relationships, personal growth. People start motivated. They join the gym in January. They promise to save money. They decide to learn a skill. But when motivation fades, so does commitment. This is why Jim Rohn famously said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." Motivation may start the journey, but discipline finishes it. Discipline is not glamorous. It is repetitive. It is often boring. It demands sacrifice, but it works. Always. Discipline is also deeply connected to self-respect. When you do what you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it, you build trust with yourself. Every act of discipline strengthens your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits. You start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. This internal shift is powerful. It changes how you think, how you act, and how you respond to challenges. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Discipline is how identity becomes action. Motivation reacts to circumstances. Discipline creates consistency regardless of circumstances. This is why discipline outperforms talent, intelligence, and even opportunity over time. Talent without discipline fades. Intelligence without discipline stagnates. Opportunity without discipline is wasted. But discipline compounds. Small disciplined actions repeated daily create exponential results. This is the law of life. This is why success often looks sudden to outsiders, but is always the result of years of unseen discipline. Consider the great builders of history. Thomas Edison did not rely on motivation while failing thousands of times. He relied on discipline. He once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." That 99% is discipline. It is showing up again and again. Testing, failing, adjusting, continuing. Motivation may inspire the first attempt. Discipline produces the breakthrough. Even in suffering, discipline remains the most reliable tool. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Discipline is the method of that change. When life is unfair, when circumstances are brutal, when motivation is crushed by reality, discipline is what remains. It is the inner structure that allows you to stand when everything else collapses." Discipline is not about punishment. It is about freedom. This is one of the greatest paradoxes of life. People think discipline restricts freedom, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. Financial discipline creates financial freedom. Physical discipline creates bodily freedom. Mental discipline creates emotional freedom. Without discipline, you become a slave to impulse, emotion, distraction, and comfort. With discipline, you gain control. As Aristotle hinted, self-mastery is the highest form of mastery. The American audience resonates deeply with this truth because the culture celebrates freedom, independence, and self-made success. But the uncomfortable reality is that freedom without discipline becomes chaos. Results without discipline are impossible. The greatest entrepreneurs, athletes, military leaders, and innovators in American history were not driven by constant motivation. They were driven by discipline. They built routines. They honored commitments. They worked when others rested. They stayed consistent when others quit. Motivation is reactive. Discipline is proactive. Motivation depends on mood. Discipline depends on values. When you align discipline with your values, it becomes unstoppable. You no longer ask, "How do I feel?" You ask, "Who am I becoming?" That question changes behavior. It changes priorities. It changes outcomes. Discipline turns potential into performance. And make no mistake, discipline is learned. It is not genetic. It is not reserved for the elite. It is built through small choices. Waking up when you said you would. Doing the work you promised to do. Saying no to comfort when comfort conflicts with growth. Over time, discipline becomes automatic. What once felt difficult becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes routine. Confucius said, "The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones." Discipline is the act of carrying those stones every day. Not when you feel inspired, but when you feel tired. Not when it is easy, but when it is uncomfortable. This is where results are born. So remember this truth. Motivation will come and go. It always has. It always will. Do not build your life on something unstable. Build it on discipline. Build systems, not moods. Build habits, not hype. Build character, not comfort. Because when motivation disappears, and it will, discipline remains. And discipline is permanent. No excuses. 5 results don't care about your feelings. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is this. Results don't care about your feelings. The world does not reward intention. It does not reward effort alone. It does not reward how tired you are, how stressed you feel, how unfair your situation seems, or how much pain you've endured. The world rewards outcomes. Cold, measurable, unemotional outcomes. You may feel overwhelmed, unmotivated, discouraged, or misunderstood, but results remain indifferent. They ask only one question. Did you do what was required consistently over time? This is where most people struggle. Modern culture encourages emotional validation. It tells you that your feelings deserve priority. That discomfort is a signal to stop. That stress is a reason to slow down. And that exhaustion is an excuse to quit. But reality operates by a different set of rules. Reality is ruthless. Reality does not negotiate. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Results are born not from emotion, but from action, especially action taken when emotions are working against you. Your feelings are real. They are human, but they are not reliable decision makers. Feelings change with sleep, food, mood, environment, and circumstance. Results require stability. Discipline, consistency. Aristotle captured this truth when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Habits do not depend on feelings. Habits are executed whether you feel inspired or defeated. And excellence, the kind that produces undeniable results, is built on habits, not emotions. Consider this. The alarm clock does not care how tired you feel. The deadline does not care how anxious you are. The competition does not care how unfair the odds seem. The bills do not care how overwhelmed you feel. The scale does not care how hard yesterday was. Results are neutral. They are brutally honest mirrors of your actions. And this is not cruelty, it is clarity. Because once you understand that results don't care about your feelings, you stop wasting energy on excuses and start investing energy into execution. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire while battling illness, betrayal, and constant pressure, wrote in Meditations, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This was not a denial of emotion. It was a prioritization of responsibility. Marcus Aurelius understood something that modern society often forgets. Your duty does not disappear because you are uncomfortable. Your responsibility does not pause because you are emotional. Results demand action regardless of internal resistance. This is why discipline is superior to motivation. Motivation is emotional fuel. Discipline is mechanical execution. Motivation feels good but fades fast. Discipline feels hard but lasts forever. As Jim Rohn famously said, we must all suffer from one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Results don't care which pain you choose, but your future will. The pain of discipline produces progress. The pain of regret produces stagnation. Think about athletes. Elite athletes do not train based on how they feel. They train based on a schedule. They train when they are tired, when they are sore, when they are bored, when motivation is absent. Because competition does not pause for feelings. The scoreboard does not adjust for emotions. Results are determined by preparation. The same is true in business, learning, leadership, and life. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The how is often emotional discomfort, fear, doubt, fatigue, frustration. Results. Don't remove these feelings. They require you to move through them. Emotional resistance is not a signal to stop. It is often a signal that growth is happening. If results cared about feelings, no one would ever succeed at anything difficult. One of the greatest traps people fall into is emotional entitlement. The belief that because life has been hard, success should be easier. But life does not work that way. Suffering does not guarantee reward, only action does. Viktor Frankl, who endured unimaginable suffering in Nazi concentration camps, wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl's survival and later success were not fueled by emotional comfort, but by meaning, responsibility, and inner discipline. Results did not come because he felt strong. They came because he chose to act with purpose despite pain. Results are mathematical. Inputs over time equal outputs. Miss enough inputs and the output suffers regardless of intent. Skip workouts and the body weakens. Skip practice and skill erodes. Skip learning and ignorance grows. Skip discipline and potential dies quietly. Results don't argue. They simply reveal. This is why successful people often appear cold or obsessed to others. It's not that they lack emotion. It's that they refuse to let emotion dictate behavior. They understand that feelings are passengers, not drivers. As the Stoics taught, emotions are natural, but they must be governed by reason. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Results cut through imagination. They expose truth. The American success mindset at its best embraces this reality. From entrepreneurs to soldiers, from athletes to innovators, the principle is the same. Do the work, regardless of how you feel. This is not cruelty. This is respect for reality, because reality rewards competence, consistency, and courage, not comfort. Results also don't care about excuses. They don't care about background, past failures, or unfair starting points. History proves this again and again. Abraham Lincoln failed repeatedly before becoming president. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before succeeding. Oprah Winfrey faced poverty and rejection before building a media empire. None of their results arrived because they felt confident every day. Their results arrived because they acted anyway. Confucius said, "The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Those stones are carried on days when you feel weak, on days when you doubt yourself, on days when quitting feels justified." Results don't come from dramatic moments. They come from unglamorous consistency. Understanding that results don't care about your feelings is actually freeing. It removes confusion. It simplifies life. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "What needs to be done?" That shift alone can transform a life, because clarity creates momentum, and momentum creates results. This does not mean ignoring mental health or emotional well-being. It means not using emotion as an excuse for inaction. There is a difference between acknowledging feelings and obeying them. Discipline acknowledges emotion and moves forward anyway. In the end, life does not negotiate. The standard does not lower itself. The goal does not chase you. You must rise to meet it. Results don't care about your feelings. They care about your habits, your consistency, your discipline, your willingness to act when comfort is unavailable. No excuses. No emotional bargaining. Only results. 6 excuses sound intelligent. Failure loves them. One of the most dangerous things about excuses is not that they are weak, but that they sound intelligent. Excuses often come dressed in logic. wrapped in reason, supported by facts, experience, and analysis. They sound thoughtful. They sound mature. They sound responsible. And that is exactly why failure loves them. Because when excuses sound intelligent, they no longer feel like excuses. They feel like wisdom. They feel justified. They feel safe. And quietly, without resistance, they stop progress before it even begins. Excuses rarely say, "I'm afraid." They say, "The timing isn't right." They rarely say, "I don't want to risk failing." They say, "I need to be more prepared." This is how failure survives, by hiding behind intelligence. Socrates warned centuries ago, the unexamined life is not worth living. Most people examine their goals endlessly, but never examine their excuses. They analyze circumstances, overthink risks, evaluate conditions, and debate possibilities while doing nothing. Analysis replaces action. Thought replaces effort, and failure quietly wins. Excuses don't sound lazy. Laziness is obvious. Excuses sound smart. They reference economics, psychology, timing, responsibility, realism, past experience. They borrow the language of reason, and that makes them seductive, because no one wants to feel foolish for not acting. So the excuse becomes protection, not just from failure, but from accountability. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." In other words, time is not guaranteed. Yet excuses convince people they have plenty of it. Enough time to wait, enough time to prepare, enough time to feel ready. Failure loves this delay, because delay kills momentum. Delay kills courage. Delay kills urgency. Excuses also give people a sense of moral superiority. I'm not quitting, I'm being realistic. I'm not lazy, I'm strategic. I'm not afraid, I'm cautious. But results don't recognize these distinctions. Results don't reward intention or intelligence. They reward execution. Aristotle said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." True self-knowledge is recognizing when intelligence is being used as a shield against discomfort. Because action is uncomfortable. Risk is uncomfortable. Responsibility is uncomfortable. Excuses remove discomfort without solving the problem. And failure thrives in comfort. One of the most common intelligent excuses is over-preparation. People say they are learning, researching, or planning, when in reality they are avoiding exposure to failure. Preparation becomes procrastination when it replaces action. Seneca warned against this trap when he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Excuses live in imagination. Results live in reality. Failure loves intelligent excuses because they delay consequences. When you make a foolish mistake, you learn quickly. When you make an intelligent excuse, you repeat it forever. You sound reasonable while staying stuck. You sound mature while making no progress. And slowly, years pass. Excuses also protect identity. If you try and fail, you risk being exposed. But if you never try, you can preserve the illusion of potential. "I could have succeeded if" becomes the most dangerous sentence in a person's life, because it allows failure to exist without proof. Nietzsche warned, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Excuses erase the why by giving the mind an escape route. The disciplined mind understands this. Excuses are intellectual camouflage for fear. Fear of judgment, fear of loss, fear of discomfort, fear of discovering limits. Failure loves fear, but only when fear is dressed as logic. Look at history. Every major achievement required people to act before they felt ready, before conditions were perfect, before guarantees existed. Thomas Edison did not wait until failure was impossible. He embraced failure as data. "I have not failed," he said. "I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Intelligent excuses would have told him to stop, to conserve resources, to be rational. But results require irrational persistence. Excuses are especially dangerous for intelligent people, because intelligence gives you better words, better reasoning, better arguments for inaction. This is why raw discipline often outperforms raw intelligence. Jim Rohn said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." Excuses burn that bridge with logic. Modern society encourages excuse-making disguised as self-care, balance, and realism. And while rest and balance matter, they are often misused to justify avoidance. Results don't care how balanced your intentions were. They care what you built. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Action often looks foolish at first. It involves uncertainty, risk, exposure. Excuses protect ego. Failure loves ego protection because growth requires humility. Excuses also multiply. One excuse invites another. First it's timing, then resources, then energy, then support, then age, then the market, then circumstances. Eventually, the habit of excuse-making becomes identity, and failure doesn't need to fight anymore. It has been welcomed in. Understanding this truth is uncomfortable, but necessary. Failure is not attracted to weakness. It is attracted to justification. Weak people who act can still succeed. Intelligent people who justify inaction rarely do. Confucius said, "To know what is right and not do it is the worst cowardice." Excuses know what is right. They explain it beautifully, and then they avoid it. Results, on the other hand, are brutally simple. They don't care how smart you sound. They don't care how complex your explanation is. They don't care how justified you feel. They care about one thing. Did you show up and do the work consistently? Once you recognize that excuses sound intelligent because they are designed to protect comfort, everything changes. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop over-explaining. You stop waiting for permission. You act. And action destroys excuses instantly. This is why action feels uncomfortable. It threatens the stories excuses tell. It exposes reality. It removes protection. And failure hates exposure, because once action begins, results become inevitable, one way or another. So remember this principle. If an excuse sounds intelligent, question it harder. If it sounds reasonable, inspect it deeper. If it feels comforting, challenge it immediately. Because excuses sound intelligent, but failure loves them. And results? Results don't listen to excuses. They only respond to action. No excuses. Only results. 7 winners focus on output, not obstacles. One of the defining differences between winners and everyone else is not intelligence, talent, resources, or luck. It is focus. Losers focus on obstacles. Winners focus on output. Losers obsess over what stands in their way. Winners obsess over what they can produce, control, and execute. Obstacles are real, yes, but they are universal. Everyone has them. What separates winners is not the absence of obstacles, but the refusal to allow obstacles to dominate attention, energy, and identity. Most people spend their lives explaining why progress is difficult. Winners spend their lives asking a different question. What can I produce anyway? That shift alone changes outcomes, because obstacles consume energy, while output creates momentum. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Winners understand this principle deeply. They do not deny obstacles, but they refuse to bow to them. Obstacles are seductive. They feel important. They feel serious. They give the mind something to chew on. Lack of time, lack of money, lack of support, market conditions, competition, age, past failure. All of these are real. But reality does not reward awareness. It rewards execution. Results are not produced by understanding difficulty. They are produced by output in spite of difficulty. Aristotle said, "Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution." Notice the focus. Execution, output, action. Winners are obsessed with what they can do today, not what they wish were different. They build habits around production, not complaint. They measure progress by output, not by the size of their problems. Losers ask, "Why is this so hard?" Winners ask, "What's the next action?" This distinction is everything. Obstacles feel heavy because attention gives them weight. The more you focus on them, the larger they grow. Seneca warned about this mental trap when he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Winners understand that obsessing over obstacles amplifies fear, doubt, and hesitation. So they redirect attention, not to fantasy, not to denial, but to output small, concrete, measurable actions. Winners break massive challenges into manageable outputs. They don't solve everything at once. They move one step forward, then another, then another. Confucius said, "The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Those stones are outputs, daily actions, relentless consistency, quiet progress." Obstacles also give people permission to stop. That's why they are so attractive. When you focus on obstacles, you feel justified in slowing down, waiting, or quitting. Winners remove that permission. They accept that obstacles are part of the price of admission. As Epictetus said, "Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him." Obstacles reveal mindset. They expose who focuses on problems and who focuses on production. Winners understand a harsh but liberating truth. The world does not reward struggle, it rewards results. You don't get credit for how difficult the road was. You get credit for what you built, finished, delivered, or achieved. Obstacles explain failure. Output creates success. This is why winners are often misunderstood. To others, they may seem obsessive, cold, or unrealistic. But in truth, they are simply disciplined in where they place their attention. They know attention is energy. And energy invested in obstacles produces nothing. Energy invested in output compounds. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The how is filled with obstacles. Winners don't romanticize the struggle, they outwork it. They don't ask for easier paths. They demand higher output from themselves. Because output is the only thing that moves reality. History confirms this pattern again and again. Thomas Edison faced endless technical failures. He did not obsess over why it wasn't working. He focused on producing another experiment, another attempt, another version. "I have not failed," he said. "I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is output-focused thinking. Failure was information, not a reason to stop. Abraham Lincoln faced political defeat after defeat, poverty, personal tragedy, national division. He did not wait for obstacles to disappear. He continued to act, to lead, to produce decisions under pressure. History remembers his output, not his obstacles. In modern life, the same rule applies. Entrepreneurs who win focus on building products, serving customers, and shipping solutions, while others debate markets and timing endlessly. Athletes who win focus on training output, not injuries or competition. Creators who succeed focus on publishing consistently, not algorithms or criticism. Output always beats obsession with obstacles. Jim Rohn said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." That improvement comes from output, from practice, from repetition, from doing the work. Obstacles are external. Output is internal. You control output. That is why winners focus there. Obstacles also change over time. Remove one, another appears. If you wait for a life without obstacles, you will wait forever. Winners accept that obstacles are permanent, but so is output. And output compounds. Small actions accumulate into skill. Skill accumulates into mastery. Mastery produces results. Another critical truth: obstacles shrink when output increases. Action creates clarity. Motion creates confidence. Progress silences doubt. Winners don't wait to feel confident. They produce until confidence follows. As Aristotle implied, we become what we repeatedly do. Repeated output builds identity. Results don't ask what you were up against. They only ask what you delivered. This is uncomfortable, but empowering. Because once you stop focusing on obstacles, excuses lose their power. You stop negotiating with reality. You start engaging with it. The American spirit of achievement, at its best, embodies this mindset. From pioneers to innovators, progress was never obstacle-free. It was output-driven. Those who built, survived, and succeeded were not those with the fewest problems, but those with the highest tolerance for action under pressure. Understanding this principle changes how you live. You stop saying, "I can't because," and start saying, "What can I produce today?" That question is dangerous in the best way. It forces responsibility. It forces momentum. It forces growth. Winners don't ignore obstacles. They simply refuse to worship them. They acknowledge reality and then they act. Over and over again. quietly, relentlessly, until results speak for them. Because in the end, no one remembers how many obstacles you faced. They remember what you built, what you finished, what you delivered. So choose your focus wisely. Focus on output, not obstacles. No excuses, only results. Your habits are louder than your dreams. Everyone has dreams. Big dreams, ambitious dreams. Dreams of success, freedom, recognition, wealth, strength, and impact. People talk about them passionately. They visualize them. They post about them. They promise themselves they will chase them one day. But life does not respond to dreams. Life responds to habits. And this is the uncomfortable truth most people try to avoid. Your habits are louder than your dreams. What you do every day speaks far more powerfully than what you say you want. Dreams are intentions. Habits are evidence. Dreams live in imagination. Habits live in reality. And reality does not negotiate with imagination. Aristotle understood this more than 2,000 years ago when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. He did not say we are what we desire, hope, or plan. He said we are what we repeatedly do. That one sentence exposes the gap between aspiration and achievement. Because most people want extraordinary lives, but practice ordinary habits. And ordinary habits produce ordinary results, no matter how big the dream sounds. Your dreams may be loud in your mind, but your habits are loud in your life. Your habits speak to your future every single day. They tell your future whether you are serious or just fantasizing. People say they want success, but their habits show distraction. They say they want health, but their habits show neglect. They say they want freedom, but their habits show comfort addiction. And results listen to habits, not dreams. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in Meditations, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But thoughts alone are not enough. Thoughts become habits through repetition, and habits become character. Character becomes destiny. Dreams without disciplined habits are just stories you tell yourself to feel hopeful. Another harsh reality, habits don't care about motivation. They don't care about how you feel. They execute automatically. That is why bad habits are so powerful, and good habits are so rare. Bad habits are easy to form and hard to break. Good habits are hard to form and easy to neglect. But both are loud. Both shape destiny. Viktor Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Habits shrink that space. They turn choice into default behavior. That is why building the right habits is one of the most important acts of personal responsibility. Because once habits are set, they run your life, with or without your awareness. Dreams feel exciting because they are future-based. Habits feel uncomfortable because they are present-based. Dreams promise reward without pain. Habits demand pain before reward. That is why most people choose dreams over habits and end up disappointed. But winners reverse this. They choose habits over hype, process over promises, systems over goals, and over time, their habits make their dreams irrelevant because results replace imagination. Your habits determine your confidence. Confidence is not self-talk, it is evidence. When you keep promises to yourself through habit, confidence grows. When you break them, self-trust erodes. That internal trust is everything, because you cannot outdream a broken self-relationship. Aristotle hinted at this when he connected virtue to habit. Virtue was not a feeling, it was a practiced behavior. Excellence, strength, discipline, resilience, these are not emotions. They are habits. And here is the final truth most people don't want to hear. If your habits don't support your dreams are irrelevant. Results don't care what you want, they care what you repeat. Your future is listening, not to your dreams, but to your habits. So look at your life honestly. Your routines, your discipline, your consistency, that is where your real ambition lives. Change your habits, and your dreams will take care of themselves. No excuses, only results. 9 results demand sacrifice, excuses. Demand nothing. Every meaningful result in life comes with a price. That price is sacrifice. There is no shortcut around it, no negotiation, no exception. Results demand something from you, your time, your comfort, your energy, your ego, your habits, your excuses. On the other hand, excuses demand nothing. They ask for no discipline, no courage, no effort. They only ask for your permission to stay the same. And this is why excuses are so attractive and results are so rare. Most people say they want success, growth, freedom, strength, and purpose. But when the cost is revealed, they hesitate. Because the truth is uncomfortable. You cannot have the life you want without giving up the life you are used to. Modern culture romanticizes dreams. It tells people to follow your passion, believe in yourself, and manifest your future. But belief without behavior is self-deception. Passion without practice fades. Manifestation without action is fantasy. Seneca warned about this illusion when he wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Preparation is habit. Opportunity does not respond to desire. It responds to readiness. Your habits are what you do when no one is watching, when motivation is gone, when energy is low, when discipline is tested. Dreams disappear under pressure. Habits remain. That is why habits are louder. They speak in silence. They operate automatically. They shape outcomes without emotion. This is also why people often feel frustrated and confused. They don't understand why their life doesn't match their dreams, but the answer is always visible in their routines. The truth is simple and brutal. You don't get what you dream about. You get what you practice. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Most people reverse this. They say what they want to be, but never do what it requires. Habits are the doing. They are the bridge between identity and reality. Winners understand this deeply. They do not rely on motivation to chase dreams. They build habits that drag them forward even when they don't feel inspired. They design their days intentionally. They repeat boring actions consistently. They trust the process more than the feeling. Because habits compound. Slowly, quietly, relentlessly. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But the how is habit. The daily grind, the routine, the discipline. Without habits, the why remains emotional but powerless. Look at any area of excellence. Athletics, business, art, leadership, science. The people at the top are not the biggest dreamers. They are the most consistent practitioners. Athletes train when it's boring. Writers write when inspiration is absent. Entrepreneurs work when results are uncertain. Their habits speak louder than their dreams ever could. Jim Rohn said it clearly. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Not once, not occasionally, every day. That is the power of habit. It removes negotiation. It removes excuses. It removes reliance on mood. Habits also expose self-honesty. You cannot lie to your habits. You can lie to others. You can lie to social media. You can lie to yourself with dreams. But habits reveal truth. They show what you truly value, not what you claim to value. Confucius said, "A man who chases two rabbits catches neither." Many people chase dreams without committing habits. They want change without structure, growth without sacrifice, results without repetition. But habits demand commitment. They force focus. They eliminate fantasy. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice." Life is constant change, but growth requires voluntary change. Sacrifice is choosing discomfort now instead of regret later. Excuses are choosing comfort now and paying interest forever. Results demand early mornings when your bed feels warmer than your ambition. They demand discipline when motivation disappears. They demand focus when distraction is easier. They demand saying no to good things so you can say yes to great ones. Excuses demand nothing. They let you sleep in. They let you delay. They let you blame circumstances, people, timing, luck, and fear. And that is why excuses are cheap and results are priceless. Aristotle wrote, "The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet." Sacrifice is the bitter root. Results are the sweet fruit. But many people want the fruit without the roots. They want the reward without the responsibility. They want the destination without the discipline. This is not how life works. Every result you admire in someone else's life is built on sacrifices you never saw. The nights they worked while others rested. The comfort they gave up. The distractions they removed. The discipline they chose repeatedly, long after excitement faded. Seneca warned, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." Sacrifice feels difficult because it forces confrontation with our weakness. Excuses protect that weakness. They provide emotional shelter. They help us avoid the pain of effort, but they guarantee the pain of regret. Results demand that you give up who you are now for who you must become. That is the real sacrifice. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "Man must be trained for war and woman for the recreation of the warrior. All else is folly." While controversial, the deeper message is about hardening oneself through struggle. Growth is forged in resistance. Strength is earned, not gifted. Sacrifice is the training ground of greatness. Look at history. Every meaningful achievement, personal or collective, was paid for in sacrifice. Great civilizations were built on discipline and order. Scientific breakthroughs were born from years of failure. Athletes bled in training before standing on podiums. Leaders endured isolation before earning influence. Excuses, meanwhile, build nothing. They preserve comfort. They maintain mediocrity. They explain away responsibility. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Sacrifice often looks foolish to those who avoid it. When you work while others relax, they call you obsessed. When you say no to comfort, they call you extreme. When you choose discipline, they call you boring. But results silence opinions. Excuses amplify them. Sacrifice is lonely. Excuses are social. That is another reason people avoid sacrifice. Excuses allow you to fit in. They are socially acceptable. Everyone understands them. Everyone uses them. No one challenges them. But no one respects them either, deep down. Results demand respect from yourself first. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." B1. Sacrifice is action. Excuses are argument. Most people argue their limitations instead of testing their potential. The modern world is full of explanations. Trauma, environment, economy, upbringing, systems, luck. Some of these are real. But none of them remove responsibility, because results don't negotiate with explanations. They only respond to action. Results demand sacrifice regardless of circumstances. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. That change always requires sacrifice. Comfort must go. Illusions must go. Victimhood must go. Excuses demand nothing, but they take everything. They take your time. They take your confidence. They take your potential. They take your future. They do it quietly, slowly, politely. Sacrifice, on the other hand, feels violent at first. It disrupts routine. It hurts pride. It demands effort. But it gives back power, control, identity, respect. Jim Rohn said, "We must all suffer from one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret." Discipline is sacrifice. Regret is the tax of excuses. And regret is far more expensive. People often say, "I'll sacrifice later." But later is a lie. Life does not wait. Time does not pause. The cost of sacrifice increases with delay. What could have been built with effort becomes impossible under regret. Sacrifice is time-sensitive. The Stoics understood this. They emphasized urgency, mortality, impermanence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you understand time is limited, excuses lose their power. Sacrifice becomes logical. Results demand urgency. Excuses thrive on delay. Another hard truth: sacrifice is not just about working harder. It is about letting go of distractions, letting go of toxic relationships, letting go of habits that feel good but lead nowhere, letting go of identity that keeps you small. That is why sacrifice hurts. You are not just giving up comfort. You are giving up familiarity. But familiarity is not progress. Results demand that you choose long-term pain over short-term pleasure. Excuses offer the opposite. And the human brain is wired for comfort. That is why discipline must be trained. That is why sacrifice must be chosen consciously. Plato warned, "The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men." On a personal level, the price of indifference to discipline is being ruled by weakness. Excuses become your ruler. Comfort becomes your master. And comfort is a terrible leader. Results demand leadership over self. This is the dividing line between winners and everyone else. Winners sacrifice daily. Not dramatically, not publicly, quietly, consistently. They understand that no one owes them anything. Life is not fair, but it is predictable. Effort in, results out. Excuses in, stagnation out. There is no middle ground. Sacrifice does not guarantee success, but excuses guarantee failure. That is the brutal equation. So ask yourself honestly, what are you sacrificing? What are you protecting? What are you avoiding? Your answers reveal your future. Results are waiting, but they demand payment up front. Excuses are available, but they demand nothing now and everything later. Choose wisely. No excuses, only results. At the end, only results remain. At the end of every journey, there are no explanations left. No intentions, no stories. No excuses, only results remain. Life does not grade effort the way people do. It does not reward good intentions, difficult circumstances, or emotional struggles. Life looks at outcomes. What was built? What was finished? What was achieved? When time runs out, all that remains is what you did or failed to do. This is the final truth that separates wishful thinking from real achievement. People spend years explaining why they couldn't. Life simply records what they did. Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Be concerned with doing what is good." He did not say to explain, justify, or rationalize. He said to do, because when life ends, action is the only language that still speaks. In the beginning, everyone has reasons. In the middle, everyone has struggles. But at the end, only results remain. Your pain is real. Your challenges are real. Your circumstances may be unfair, but results do not argue with reality. They only reveal it. History does not remember what people went through. It remembers what they produced. No one remembers how difficult it was for Thomas Edison to fail thousands of times. They remember the light. No one remembers how isolated Nikola Tesla felt. They remember his inventions. No one remembers the fear Muhammad Ali faced. They remember his victories. The struggle disappears. The results remain. Aristotle said, "The end is everywhere the chief thing. The end, telos, is the purpose, the outcome. The meaning of effort is found in its result. Effort without result is invisible to time." This is why excuses are so fragile. They only survive in the present moment. Once time passes, excuses collapse. No one asks how tired you were 10 years ago. No one cares what you intended to do. They ask one question only. What did you build with your time? Results are the only things that age well. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Wasted time leaves no results behind, only memories that fade. Time spent building leaves evidence, proof, legacy. At the end of a career, there is no applause for effort. There is a record of contribution. At the end of a relationship, there is no reward for intentions. There is only what you gave. At the end of life, there is no credit for dreams. There is only what you lived. This is why discipline matters. Discipline creates results that survive emotion. People often say, "I tried." Life responds, "What did you finish?" Trying is temporary. Results are permanent. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Waiting produces nothing. Action produces results. And results are the only thing that remains when waiting is over. Modern culture is obsessed with process, but forgets outcome. Process matters, yes. Growth matters. Healing matters. But process without outcome is unfinished work. And unfinished work leaves no trace in history. Results are the receipts of your life. You cannot submit excuses as proof of existence. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger. But strength is invisible unless it is expressed. Strength that produces nothing is wasted potential. Strength that creates results becomes impact. Pain that builds something becomes meaning. Pain that builds nothing becomes regret." Viktor Frankl taught that meaning is found in responsibility. Everyone is questioned by life. and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. Your answer is not spoken, it is shown. It is shown in your results. Results answer life's question. Every day life asks you silently, what are you doing with what you have been given? And every day your actions respond. At the end, those responses are all that remain. Excuses are emotional. Results are factual. Excuses sound convincing in conversation. Results speak without words. Jim Rohn said, success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become, and who you become is proven by what you leave behind. Results are the evidence of identity. You can claim discipline, but your results expose consistency. You can claim intelligence, but your results expose execution. You can claim ambition, but your results expose commitment. Claims disappear. Results stay. That is why results are heavy. They cannot be edited. They cannot be rebranded. They cannot be explained away. They sit in reality, silent and undeniable. This is uncomfortable, but it is liberating. Because once you understand that only results remain, you stop performing for approval. You stop explaining yourself. You stop waiting to be understood. You start working to be undeniable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Strictness builds results. Tolerance builds excuses. At the end, strictness leaves evidence. The world is full of people who were almost great, almost successful, almost disciplined, almost consistent, but almost leaves nothing behind. Results do not reward proximity. They reward completion. You do not get credit for how close you were. You get credit for what you finished. This is why winners are obsessed with execution. They understand that emotion fades, applause fades, opinions fade, but results remain. Results outlive you. Your body will age. Your name may be forgotten, but what you build has a chance to remain. This is legacy. Plato believed that the highest good was contributing to something larger than oneself. That contribution must be tangible. Results are how contribution becomes real. Ask yourself a hard question. If your life ended today, what results would speak for you? Not your intentions, not your struggles, not your reasons, only your results. That question is not meant to shame you. It is meant to wake you up, because the future is still listening. At the end of every year, every project, every chapter, every life, there is a final scorecard, and it does not include excuses. It does not include explanations. It does not include effort without outcome. It includes results. Results don't care how hard it was. Results don't care how unfair it felt. Results don't care how emotional you were. Results only care whether you showed up again and again until something was finished. This is the law of life. You can resist it. You can explain it away. You can ignore it, but you cannot escape it. At the end, only results remain. So live in a way that leaves evidence. No excuses, only results. This is the moment to stop hiding behind words, reasons, and delays. No excuses, only results. Life doesn't wait for your comfort. It doesn't reward your intentions, your feelings, or your plans. It rewards action. Every day you wait, every excuse you tell yourself is a vote against the life you could be living. Winners don't ask for permission. They don't wait to feel ready. They show up, they execute, and they build when no one is watching. Pain, struggle, and sacrifice aren't barriers. They are the currency of success. The scoreboard of life doesn't measure effort or struggle. It measures outcomes. So shut out the noise. Make the decision. Take action. Start now, today. Let your work, your discipline, and your results speak for you. Because in the end, nothing is louder, nothing lasts, and nothing matters more than results.